Welcome to today's Devotional, where we'll embark on a journey to explore some of the most intriguing questions surrounding the Bible. In this enlightening devotional, we tackle some of the most common questions about the Bible, shedding light on age-old mysteries and misconceptions. From the origins of God to the fate of dinosaurs, we delve into the depths of Scripture to unravel the truth behind these intriguing inquiries. Now, let's tackle our first question. Question 1. Who made God? This question often arises from our human struggle to comprehend eternity. We're accustomed to beginnings and endings, but the concept of an eternal being can be challenging to grasp. The truth is, nobody made God. He has always existed. God is beyond time and space. He is eternal. Moving on to our next inquiry. Question 2. Who did Adam and Eve's sons, Cain and Seth, marry? This is actually very easy to answer. The Bible does not list all of Adam and Eve's children. It only deals with Cain and Abel, because Cain committed the first murder, and Seth, because it was through Seth that Noah came, and thus everyone alive today. We are not told, for example, where Noah's wife or his sons' wives came from. The Message translation, Genesis 5 verses 3 to 4 says, "When Adam was 130 years old, he had a son who was just like him, his very spirit and image, and named him Seth. After the birth of Seth, Adam lived another 800 years, having more sons and daughters. Adam lived a total of 930 years, and he died." Adam had sons and daughters that are not recorded after the birth of Seth, and he would very likely have had sons and daughters before the birth of Seth. During his 930 years lifetime, Adam could have had, and almost certainly did have, a lot of children. So, Cain and Seth likely married their sisters, as there were no other options available. Now, let's address a common query. Question 3. Why did some people in the Bible marry their relatives? As we have just looked at, concerning Adam and Eve's children, the answer is that there wasn't anyone else to marry. For mankind to grow, they had to marry their brothers and sisters. But what about when people began having children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren? What about when there were more options? Who else in the Bible married their relatives, and why was it okay to do so? In Genesis 12, and again in Genesis 20, Abraham says that his wife Sarah is his sister. He does this because he is scared that he might be killed because of Sarah's beauty. But then, in Genesis 20 verse 12, Abraham reveals the truth. "Indeed, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife." Although Abraham was not directly lying, he was certainly being deceptive in hiding the fact that Sarah was his wife. Later, Abraham and Sarah's son Isaac marries his first cousin, once removed, Rebekah. Rebekah was the granddaughter of Abraham's brother Nahor. Then, Isaac and Rebekah's son Jacob marries two of his first cousins, Leah and Rachel, who were the children of Rebekah's brother Laban. But how come all of this was kosher? It is because the commandment to not marry various close relatives did not come until later when the law of Moses was introduced. Until then, it was acceptable, no matter how hard it may be for us to understand today. On to our next topic. Question 4. What happened to the dinosaurs? In order to answer this question fairly, I must point out that there are two schools of thought among Christians as to what happened to the dinosaurs, assuming that you believe the biblical account of creation and not the world's evolution theory narrative, which can only guess at what happened to the dinosaurs. You can make up your own mind which school of thought seems the most biblical? The first school of thought proposes that the dinosaurs existed in a world before Adam and Eve, between Genesis 1 verse 1 and Genesis 1 verse 2. This world was destroyed when Lucifer fell and became Satan. As a consequence, all of the dinosaurs died. This is known as the gap theory. Supporters of this view will tell you that this gap between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2 allows for the millions of years that science insists on. The main reason that I do not agree with this view is that the reason that science insists on the millions of years is to allow for evolution, which gap theory supporters do not believe in. The actual dating methods that science uses have been proven unreliable numerous times, but this is always downplayed. Also, it is hard to imagine that God could say that everything was good if there was death and decay below the surface of the ground. The second school of thought is that the majority of the dinosaurs died in Noah's flood and are now found in fossilized form. This is the view which I personally believe, because to accept it, you do not need to read anything into the Bible that isn't actually there. The fossil record shows many dinosaurs and other creatures that appear to have died very suddenly. This would have happened in the flood as they became covered by rapidly moving mudslides. It is a fact that when most creatures die, they simply rot away. They do not become fossilized. It takes something out of the ordinary to produce the conditions required for fossils to form, something like a worldwide flood. Noah likely took baby dinosaurs on the ark, but for whatever reason, they did not thrive after the flood as they had prior to the flood. Lastly, let's examine more about dinosaurs. Question 5. Science says that dinosaurs and man did not coexist. Does the Bible actually mention dinosaurs anywhere? Dinosaurs are not mentioned by name in the Bible, simply because the word dinosaur did not exist until 1842. But there are creatures in the Bible which match the description of dinosaurs. Look at this description of the behemoth from the Message Bible's version of Job 40, verse 15 to 24. Look at the land beast behemoth. I created him as well as you, grazing on grass, docile as a cow. Just look at the strength of his back, the powerful muscles of his belly. His tail sways like a cedar in the wind. His huge legs are like beech trees. His skeleton is made of steel, every bone in his body hard as steel. Most magnificent of all my creatures, but I still lead him around like a lamb. The grass-covered hills serve him meals, while field mice frolic in his shadow. He takes afternoon naps under shade trees, cools himself in the reedy swamps, lazily cool in the leafy shadows as the breeze moves through the willows. And when the river rages, he doesn't budge, stolid and unperturbed, even when the Jordan goes wild. But you'd never want him for a pet. You'd never be able to housebreak him. This fits the description of a dinosaur, such as a brachiosaurus, and even contains details about how they lived that cannot be found out from the fossil record. Some translations of the Bible suggest that this may have been an elephant or a hippopotamus. But how many elephants or hippos have you seen with tails like cedars? The book of Job also describes another dinosaur-like creature called a leviathan in Job 41. Look it up for yourself. As well as in the Bible, there are also many legends that speak of animals that sound a lot like dinosaurs. Of course, they are never called dinosaurs because the word had not been invented, but the descriptions are pretty similar to dinosaurs. Most of the time, the creatures are referred to as dragons and are often exaggerations. but that does not mean that they are not based on something that was real. We hope that you have enjoyed this devotional and that you have been blessed by it. We would appreciate it if you would click the like button, share the video with a friend, and, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. You can also leave any comments or prayer requests below.